All right, Arman Tsarukyan is a wild man, as we know, and he's also one of the best lightweights on the planet. A lot of people are saying Arman Tsarukyan should be fighting for the belt. What is going on? Why is there an interim champion when we got Arman Tsarukyan? Well, Arman Tsarukyan, as we know, often is embroiled in a little bit of drama. He does like to punch a fan. He does like to headbutt Dan Hooker at the weigh-ins. And if you saw all of the absolute madness at the weekend, once again, it was a shit show for Arman Tsarukyan. He competed at RAF Wrestling, okay? And his opponent was not really playing fairly. He was being dirty, he was swiping, he was poking him in the eye, he was clubbing him with his face and all the rest of it. And in the end, Arman Tsarukyan lost his rag, lost his temper, got a hold of him, sat him down and boom, cracked him in the face, and all shit hit the fan. Hell broke loose. It went off in a big way. 15, 20, 30 people all stormed onto the mats. It was crazy, right? A huge brawl ensued, okay? And a lot of people are out there saying, oh, this is crazy, right? Arman's just blown it. There's no way that the UFC are going to allow Arman Tsarukyan to fight for the lightweight title of the world because he can't be relied upon, okay? Well, first of all, Arman Tsarukyan said yesterday, this is not my fault. Everyone's on my side now. I was waiting 6 minutes. He was punching me. How long do you want me to wait? They should be happy that a UFC fighter didn't let somebody beat them up. UFC fighter number one went into freestyle wrestling, beat the freestyle wrestler, and then showed the level of the UFC. And you know what? I'm with him. I fully agree. And his opponent afterwards was sitting in the back of an ambulance with a big neck brace on, saying that he still won the match.
Watched the match. I'm the only one that got a takedown. He got pushed out and a couple penalty points. I'm still the champ, baby.
He didn't win the match. What is he doing in the ambulance with the neck brace on? I hope and pray that he's not trying to pull some lawsuit nonsense. As we know, Arman Tsarukyan comes from a very wealthy family, okay? There's videos of him eating bloody thousands of dollars of caviar, eating an entire camel. The man's flying around in private jets. He's rolling around in Bentleys and Rolls Royces. Fair play to him. And that is an anomaly when it comes to the fight world. Generally, it's disadvantaged backgrounds. You want to prove yourself, you want to make some money, you want to get a fair shake in life, and you do it with your fists. But not everyone needs to come from that kind of background. And Arman Tsarukyan has proven to be very, very effective. He is the number 2 ranked UFC lightweight on the planet. He is behind Justin Gaethje, who's the interim champion. And when Ilya and Justin finally fight, if they do fight at the White House, or maybe it's going to be Ilya Topuria versus Islam Makhachev. If you saw yesterday's video, you will see that there's something big promised for Islam Makhachev. It could be that, okay? So if it is that, then Arman Tsarukyan is going to have to wait around for a little bit longer. Now, in 10 days' time, they are booking the rematch, okay? RAF Wrestling have booked Arman Tsarukyan versus Georgi Polier, or whatever his name is. I'm not overly familiar with the guy. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just not. I don't really follow wrestling. Merab Dvalishvili doesn't follow wrestling, even though he's a tremendous wrestler. In fact, he doesn't even know the rules to wrestling, okay? He came out and said that. He said, to be honest, I'm not a wrestler. I don't even know the rules. Yeah, I wrestle in fights, but freestyle and all that kind of stuff, he has no idea. To be honest, the rules are kind of a little bit complicated. They really are. I have 2 sons that wrestle. I'm always going to tournaments and sitting there and watching. And half of the time, I don't even know what's going on. I know when you take someone down and you pin him, you win. But outside of that, there's a lot of finer nuances. But anyway, let's get back to Arman Tsarukyan. All right, today's video is sponsored by Underdog, which is a very easy to play fantasy game. All you got to do is pick whether your favorite fighters or players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Maybe it's takedowns if it's mixed martial arts. Will Charles Oliveira knock down Max Holloway more than 3 times throughout the entirety of the fight? As I say, it is very, very easy. Now, it is a fantasy game of skill, as I said, and there's a bunch of different ways to play. You got the originals, you got the streaks, you got pick 'em and champions, and you got a lot of different ways to make a ton of money. For example, the ladders game, all you got to do is make 3 to 5 picks and progressively win more based on how well each pick performs. Win a little on a decent night, you can win a lot on a great night, up to 250 times your money. Now, each pick has 3 rungs to hit. All of your picks have to hit a rung to get that payout. There's lots of different ways to make your picks and lots of different ways to make some money. So what more are you waiting for? Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway goes down this weekend. And with Underdog, you have a way to make some real cash, and we've got a great offer for you. All you're going to do is download the Underdog app today, use the promo code Bisping, and you will score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. $75 when you play just $5. That is promo code Bisping. Download the Underdog app today. Now, they always say no such thing as bad press, right? Arman Tsarukyan is all over the place right now. Of course, he's going on this kind of tour. He's doing a lot of podcasts, and I'll be speaking to him later on the Jackson podcast as well. So I've got a lot of questions for Arman Tsarukyan. But if you see him, he is popping up everywhere. You Google his name here, and there's so many different articles about him. Matt Brown, for example, former badass in the UFC, he's out there saying that this is going to cost Arman Tsarukyan getting another title shot. He said, my first thing, I thought this was not a good look for Arman Tsarukyan. The entire reason that Dana was using right or wrong is because Arman causes problems. He pulled out of a fight at last minute, which he did. He headbutted Dan Hooker, which he did. He got suspended for punching a fan, which he did. He said, why would you give him another reason? It doesn't make any sense. Arman is clearly a hothead that needs to calm down, take a step back and focus on what he needs to focus on, right? Matt Brown brings up some good points, okay? The man is a legend of the sport and he is a real fighter. But we're all goddamn hotheads, right? Arman Tsarukyan's still very much in his prime. He's only a young man. What is he? I think he's 28 or 29 years old. 29 years old, okay? He's still very much a young man. He's still very much in his prime, and the testosterone is flying around like crazy. And if someone's slapping him in the face and poking him in the eye, and it's supposed to be a wrestling match, and they've been talking a bit of shit, then hey, fair play. I've got no problem with it. And honestly, I don't think the UFC are going to have a problem with it. It all depends what happens in the lightweight division and how it all plays out. Is Ilya going to fight Islam? Is Ilya going to fight Justin Gaethje? He probably will fight Justin Gaethje. I'd assume that that's what's going to happen. And then once that fight happens, right, now it's time to start taking on other contenders. And the UFC wants the biggest fights possible. Of course, that's what they do. They promote the biggest fights on the planet. Arman Tsarukyan, his stock has never been higher. Look at what he did to Dan Hooker. Before that, he beat Charles Oliveira. He knocked out Beneil Dariush in 1 minute and 4 seconds, and before that, knocked out Joaquim Silva in the 3rd round, right? Overall, got a record of 23 wins, 3 losses. He's the number 2 ranked guy on the absolute planet, but he is a bit of a loose cannon, okay? But look at Conor McGregor. Look at what he did at the Barclays Center with Khabib. Remember, he was coming to the protection and the aid of his great friend and the former pound-for-pound greatest fighter on the planet, the great Artur Lobov. Because Khabib and his boys kind of got in his face and were talking a bit of shit. Conor saw this, jumped on a private jet, flew out there, and all shit definitely hit the fan. It was madness. Conor's running around the Barclays Center. He threw a dolly at the bus. It all got smashed. There was lawsuits left, right, and center. Conor got charged criminally. I think he just got a fine and some community service or something like that. But he did fight Khabib, and it did go on to become the biggest fight in UFC history because drama sells fights. And right now, Arman Tsarukyan, there's a lot of drama following this guy around, and he really doesn't care because he's already made it in some ways. He doesn't need to fight, okay? His father is apparently a billionaire, okay? So that by rights, Arman one day will be a very, very wealthy man if he isn't already. But anyway, what do you think? Arman Tsarukyan's going to rematch this guy in 10 days. Will it kick off again? Will Khamzat Chimaev be there? Is he going to bring in the Chechen Mafia alongside all of the Armenians, right? Probably. And if it goes off again, it's going to be even worse. And look at this. RAF Wrestling, there's a reason why they've rebooked this. There's a reason why it's going down in 10 days because, again, drama sells. If you didn't watch the first one, you're damn sure going to watch the second one because you want to see what happens. So I think, no, it will not cost Arman Tsarukyan a title shot. The question is, when will that take place? And will he have to fight one more time in the interim? You let me know in the comment section, please. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, ring the bell. I'm off to Vegas. See you soon.